T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hi, my name is Doug. I'm the president of Guardians of the Purple Heart, and we are a 501c3 approved nonprofit organization based here in southeastern Connecticut that specializes in obtaining items or services for Connecticut combat wounded veterans that aren't being met by other organizations like the VA. So what we like to think is where the VA or these other establishments have to leave off because of their corporate red tape and limitations, we can come in behind them and fulfill these needs by reaching out to the community, working with our vast network of supporters, and just coming together as a whole and supporting these Purple Heart recipients and improving their overall quality of life. A lot of people ask us how do they get involved and how do they join in on the fun with us. A lot of things you could do. Follow us on Facebook, number one, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website at gotph.org. You can send donations, send us a message, spread the word of what we're doing. All the Connecticut Purple Heart recipients, we are out there trying to make a difference in their lives. So please give us a hand and join in on the fun.
Bring your appetite down to Big Belly Cafe, 140 Gore Street, Webster, Mass. for curbside, takeout, and indoor seating. Visit BigBellyCafe.com to view their hours, menu, and order online. For reservations, please call ahead at 508-949-2433. Follow Big Belly Cafe on Facebook for weekly and daily specials. And remember, all veterans receive a discount for their recognition of service. Big Belly Cafe. Reedy's Archery, located in Middleborough, Mass. at 121 Wood Street, has been a staple in the area since 1993 and has become the one-stop pro shop for competitive target archers and bow hunters from New England. Reedy's is open Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure to visit Reedy'sArchery.com and follow them on Facebook to keep up with upcoming events. Reedy's Archery, dedicated to the archer. Wolf Aviation Network is the only flight school in the area utilizing the Airwolf Simulator AATD and the specialized Part 61 training program designed to save students money while increasing safety and efficiency. Creating safe pilots is our first priority. Our flight sim is the perfect training device. It is designed to prepare students adequately before taking flight in our aircraft. Fly with us and save money. Wolf Aviation. Reserve your spot at 413-563-1929 and visit wolfaviationnetwork.com.
light. This should be the red light. You got anything?
This is what we train for, every day.
We just received new intel that there's an enemy presence at the airstrip compound.
All those years. When you're the first to arrive, it's not enough to be ready. You have to be relentless. It's our job to control the ground and the sky, wherever they may meet, even behind enemy lines. They call us one-man air traffic control towers, but we're more than that.
Ivy Lima Charlie, break. Airfield is stable. You are clear to land.
We turn hell into an airstrip. And clear the way for others to follow.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Welcome everybody to another episode. We have Jane back here again. I almost said it. Back for another episode. Today we're actually going to be talking about the stuff regarding the 3M lawsuit, which is privately, as well as the PACT Act, and maybe a few other things. I mean, if it comes up, So again, I really appreciate you coming back on and be able to take the moment to talk about this stuff. And I know it's going to be your birthday here soon, and
Believe me, before yesterday.
well, happy
I'm
birthday.
officially a Medicare card-carrying person.
Oh, well, happy birthday, and I know you're going on a special trip, so enjoy that trip here shortly. So we're going to dive right into it. So let's start off with the PACT Act and how that's going to be helping veterans out, and what this actually entails and stuff like that, and again how they can apply for those benefits. So I'll have you take it away.
Okay. Well, as many of you heard about the PACT Act, it is, everybody says it calls it the burn pit law. Well, that's great, but it covers so much more.
Yeah.
The Rosie Lopez and her veteran Leroy Lopez are actually very responsible for a lot of the legislation that's in that. Burn Pit 360 organization did a lot of the pushes with the senators and congressmen, along with John Stewart and other activists.
Yeah.
So what they did is they got the VA to agree to a whole list of presumptions. In other words, if you were exposed to burn pits, if you were, your base had a burn pit and the wind channel was constantly blowing stuff in your direction, or God forbid you were one of the ones that actually had to dump the human waste and the hospital waste, and, we were supposed to burn electronics, but when you try to keep the enemy from getting your equipment,
Yeah.
guess where it goes.
Yeah.
So when you're talking burn pits, you're talking about solder and, lead-based things, and even in the old equipment, the mercury switches and things like that. Mercury, you don't even want to touch it, much less burn it and inhale it.
Absolutely.
So they were able to show all these respiratory conditions and some of the neurological conditions, including brain cancer and such, that those exposed are going to get these diseases at a much higher rate than the
Yeah.
civilian population. So, if your veteran has or developed any of the list of presumptives, all you have to do is walk into a VA rep like I used to be and say, here's my diagnosis, and the VA won't argue.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons right now I watch the Veteran Committee meetings for the Congress and the Senate, and they're doing a big push on a particular bill there that says, look, you don't have to have a competent exam for every condition. These things are coming down our presumptive list, especially terminal things, shouldn't require an exam.
Yeah.
Because if you have active cancer, you're going to be 100% for that cancer. So why are you wasting time, VA, by having people come in and do an exam?
Yeah.
So, you know, fortunately some of us will handle cancer treatments, radiation, chemo, better than others will, but that's not how they measure it. They just go, cancer, active? Yes.
Yeah.
After treatment's over, okay, we wait a year, then do that exam. See if they still have cancer. See what their side effects from those cancers are. You know, have prostate cancer.
Yeah.
You have your prostate out. A lot of times you have issues like urinary leakage, ED, and other conditions that then become things that can be placed on your rating.
Yeah.
Like a lot of veterans, they'll reach that 100% mark and they say, okay, well, I don't need to bother anymore filing this. Yeah, you do, because that new condition may cause you death, in which case it'll make it much, much easier for your family to receive the benefits if you've already got it put on your rating. But in the case of an active cancer, there's nothing more to it other than the fact that it's active cancer, or within that year of treatment.
Yeah.
So, that's a terrific thing, and it really surprises me that glioblastoma, which is a brain cancer, was put on the PAC Act, but it's not on the Agent Orange list.
Yeah.
And yet, the Agent Orange list has the same types of carcinogens and such on it, and has a list of 38 cancers. For me, I look at this, I read that legislation and I look at it and I go, where's the rest of the cancers?
Yeah.
Those will eventually get put onto the PAC Act, onto that presumptive list, because the veterans of the Gulf War generation or forward are fairly young. So a lot of these cancers aren't going to hit them until they're in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. So eventually there'll be enough of them, they'll put those on the presumptive list.
Now, for the viewers on this, they can keep adding these certain things like the PACT Act. Is there a way that if we look at it and say, hey, we got 100%, but can they go over that 100% into another category where they get a certain percentage addition to it?
There are additional benefits. If a veteran is 100%, say for active cancer, there is a 60 over 100 rule that allows for another compensation to be placed on top of the benefit. So, I mean, if you're suffering with ALS and you have this low growth kind, and after just a few years you're basically unable to walk, be able to talk or feed yourself or do anything for yourself, you're going to be 100% for that condition alone, and it's pretty much going to be permanent until you pass.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's addition of 60 over 100, there's housebound status, there's aid and attendance when you get to a point for any condition, like you need help with dressing, bathing, maybe medication monitoring because you're getting forgetful from your Parkinson's or things like that. So that's another additional benefit. There's also, if you have an amputation and you're wearing a prosthetic or you're using some kind of lotion on a skin condition that's service related, then there's a housing allowance that can be added on.
Yeah.
There's spousal care stipends,
Yeah.
that's another program. So I've seen people receiving as a single person, but with a caregiver, a family member that was a caregiver, receiving $5,000, over $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
So don't ignore the additional thing.
Yeah. Because in the long run, you're better to have everything documented. Just like anything else, you want to have it documented, and that you get what's really entitled at that point to make sure that you're taken care of, let alone, if your spouse or whatnot, caregiver is helping to take care of you, that, that's being, compensated as well. And it's the biggest thing for you guys out there is just to be able to know these information and not to think that it's, that you're not, don't feel ashamed to it. Again, this is something that us veterans, we deserve, is to have that stuff taken care of and not have to worry about it.
Everybody left their home, left everything they knew and loved and understood, and went off and did things. Even if you were stationed here in the United States,
Yeah.
but you were using certain chemicals, or you were exposed to jet fuel repeatedly, or a lot of the armors use their magic cleaning aids to get the weapons clean faster. Well, there's carcinogens in there. And they can cause cancer. And if you're going to pass away and leave behind a struggling spouse, especially if you have kids in the house, that's not fair to them. Just because you served our country, you risked your life in more ways than one.
Yeah. And it's just we gotta not just think about ourselves in these times. We also got to think about the family. The wife, the husband, the kids, and so on. Because again, God forbid something happens and it's your wife that passes away. Now it's your kids that got to take care of you. You don't want to put that burden onto them where you're not able to provide additional support in that way.
And the financial support. There's a lot of us, unfortunately, that were so used to living on two incomes.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden that second income is gone. And maybe it's going to be a real struggle to pay the property taxes that year. So, know what's available to you. And, there's a whole bunch of people in this white building out in Washington that said, these are your benefits.
Yep. And we need to use them, because again, we don't want to lose them in due time. Now we're going to switch the gears a little bit now. As you and I talked, Jan, and as we wanted to let the viewers know, is the whole stuff with the 3M. I know a lot of people put out there, oh, this is fake, this is not going to happen, I can't get this, but then in return, there's others that have put in for it, has started the whole thing with 3M. What's this whole thing? What's going on with this 3M? What, like, not legal wise, but what is it for the veterans as you and I?
Okay. Well, it's basically the hearing protection.
Yeah.
There was a time period where they were selling stuff to the government that wasn't within the specs as far as reducing the impact to your hearing.
Yeah.
When you were out at the range, or when you were, working on jet engines or whatever. So, if a veteran suffered any kind of hearing loss or was diagnosed with tinnitus during the time period, and I don't remember the exact years, that the hearing aids, or not hearing aids, but hearing protection, the little plugs for your ears. And you and I both know that if you were working on the range, if you were one of the instructors or whatever, you didn't wear both of them anyways, because you wanted to be able to hear if somebody yelled that they had a misfire or something,
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you were, then this is an opportunity for you to apply to be part of that lawsuit. You
Yeah.
can receive your VA hearing loss or tinnitus rating and get those benefits. That is a government program.
Yeah.
This lawsuit is against the 3M company. So it is a private entity. Neither one affects the other.
Yeah.
So if you're already receiving VA benefits, that's just additional evidence that you had damage because of your military service.
Yeah.
Now, I could see where 3M lawyers might say, okay, but you already had hearing loss before
Mm-hmm.
this time period. Which may be true. Your military records, especially if you're a retiree where you re-up and everything, so you were in service beforehand, you had your hearing loss already started. You still have a rule of aggravation. It might be your award won't be as much, but then again, I'm sure the government lawyers are working in the opposite direction of, it doesn't matter, you did damage to it.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that, but be aware that unlike Camp in June, these two don't matter, they don't interact at all when it comes to VA benefits.
Yeah.
Now, having said that about Camp Lejeune, I want people to be cautious. Camp Lejeune is a government entity
Yeah.
that is being sued. So, like most government programs, you can't quote double dip.
Yeah.
So if you've been receiving benefits for 10 years from the VA, widow receiving VIC, or which is death compensation, dependent indemnity compensation, but they could, a lot of people think of it as death compensation. So that widow's been receiving benefits for 10 years, or that veteran has been horribly sick for 10 years with one of the presumptive conditions, and they become part of that lawsuit. They get a hold of one of these lawyers, and they get on their list, and now your VA benefits is already bigger. What you've received in totality is bigger than what you might through this lawsuit.
Yeah.
You're not going to get any money from the lawsuit. But the problem there is you still owe the lawyer your fee.
Yeah.
So I caution veterans and widows out there, if you file under that lawsuit and you've been receiving VA benefits for a long time for those specific conditions, you may have other stuff you read about, but just that percentage that you are receiving for those conditions, then they're going to disallow however much you've received for that condition.
Yeah.
And then you still have the lawyer fees. And please be careful of these claims sharks that are out there.
Yeah.
An accredited BSO, you walk in and say, I've been diagnosed with this condition, it's on the presumptive list,
Yeah.
they're going to file it. And if you are actively ill, like a cancer or Parkinson's or something like that, they can request an expedite based on a terminal condition, a potentially terminal. You may not be. They may have caught your cancer really early. And you may be, having treatments, and everything seems to be going well, but you are actively in that cancer at this time, so they can request an expedite.
Yeah.
So those should be back within 30 to 60 days.
Now I got a
It's not
question. I
not
got a
a long
question.
wait.
Got a question now with this. So say that the viewer they look at it and they say, okay, I'm not receiving, I'm receiving my benefits, but none of my conditions that are part of the Camp Lejeune are rated on here. So are they still allowed? I mean, would it technically be still part of that benefits that they're receiving, even though it's not on it as a rating?
No. If it's not rated, it's not rated. Now, you need to file it with the VA.
Yeah.
Even if you had the cancer 10 years ago and you're clear of it, well,
Yeah.
you can file that lawsuit and you can file the VA disability. You may get 0% on the cancer that was 10 years ago. But if there's any residuals, in other words, say it was throat cancer and they had to open up your throat and you have scars on the outside, or prostate cancer and you have urinary leakage, and things like that, those are also rateable.
Yeah.
You might get 10%, 20%, that type of thing. And then in that case, you're receiving such a small VA benefit that it's going to knock down your lawsuit benefit very little. And especially if you just now file it, because you're only going to receive it for a year or so, or whenever they start making payments.
Correct. So that, I mean, so it's a fine line where you just got to make sure that, one, if it's not being rated, you know, you can file for both of them. But again, make sure you file it, you know, with the VSO, with the VA, but also just still be wary on, you know, those sharks with the lawsuits. Just be wary. Make sure that you really sit down and read that paperwork, because again, you don't want to have something come back and nip you in the tail because of fine print that's in there that, you know, you didn't know that your husband already had filed it, or, you know, your wife already filed it, and then you get kicked back on it. So just do your due diligence is what we're telling you guys as the viewers and stuff, that we understand that, you know.
And remember, your VA compensation is non-taxable.
Yeah.
That lawsuit is going to be taxable more than likely.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. It's going to be taxable. You know, I don't know how they usually do it with lawsuits with receiving that. I don't know if they 1099 you or whatnot, but again, you're going to want
lawyer fees going to come out first.
Correct, which is
just
normally
like hiring a VA lawyer, or they're going to get their money first, and whatever's left over you're going to get.
Yeah, which again, you guys, nobody out there should be, you know, you should not be using a VA lawyer, to get your VA benefits. Always see a credit. Yeah, you want to make sure.
Initial appeal.
Correct.
Because when you get a denial letter in VA language, they write why they denied you.
Yeah.
And if you know how to read their language and understand it, which, you know, it takes a little while to learn.
Yeah.
But that CVSO or VSO can sit down and say, oh, this is what they said. They denied it for us, so this is what we need to provide them.
Yeah.
Is it a medical opinion? Is it a witness statement because it's not listed in your service treatment record? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that VSO can help you get those things. But when it comes to things like a living Vietnam veteran who developed brain cancer,
no.
I did his initial appeal. I did his claim. Then they did the initial appeal.
Yeah.
And I expedited both. I had both denials back in 2 weeks. Because again, glioblastoma is not on the Vietnam list.
Yeah.
But then I handed him off to a really excellent VA lawyer, Patricia Eagle in California. And she has a genetic oncologist.
Yeah.
Who was able to show that genetically he had no cancer markers. The patient never had developed cancer, so it had to be an outside influence. Since that was the worst influence in his entire life, the VA conceded. But she had to actually fly to Washington and argue it in front of the board. But she was able to get that claim awarded. So from the time I met her getting the award was 3 months. And just a few months later, we had to do his wife's BIC. But he left this world knowing that she was going to be protected.
Yeah, which is, I mean, again, it's what we want to do and be able to protect our spouses, you know, husband, wife, children, whatnot. We want to make sure we protect them in certain ways, in any ways that we can. But with this, definitely. Now, when you say VA lawyer, I know here in Massachusetts we have Veterans Legal Services, which is usually made up of lawyers that are doing stuff pro bono, law students who are just getting out of law school, and stuff like that, and they've already taken the board exam or the the bar exam. Is that what you're referring to? Is when you say
to present to the Board of Appeals in the VA, you have to go through a whole process and a whole clearance issue and all this other training and whatnot like that. So
Yeah.
they do similar to a CVS, to an accreditation process as the Veteran Service Officer goes through.
yeah,
And they have to, you know, if they get reported for, you know, like not supporting a claim or dragging their feet on a claim,
yeah,
then they can lose their right to argue in front of the board.
okay, okay,
That way. And so, yeah, that's the biggest thing. Make sure that they have gone through proper training and processing that the VA requires them. If you go onto the VA website and you simply search accreditation,
yep,
then you will get to the page that shows what are the standards for accreditation for a lawyer and for a CVSO. And there are some accredited claims agents out there, but they are claims agents and not these consultants and other things that they call themselves. So those are legit, but they also have signed agreements with the VA as far as the amount they can charge and everything else like that.
okay, all right. You know, as we continue this, I just need to give a big shout out to all of our supporters and sponsors here. And one of the sponsors that we have is Larry's Landscape Supplies, who has stepped up and been a proud supporter with us and has been a platinum supporter, as well as we got Big Belly's Cafe, who's also been a proud supporter for us as well as platinum. So, you know, just want to give them a shout out on here, and as well as we've got Track Day for Veterans, where racing's meeting freedom. So we definitely want to put the word out there to everybody. We are going to be coming into your neck of the woods out in Wisconsin here probably in the next year or so, but we are up and down the East Coast, and all the way out to, Michigan, going out to Michigan so far. So we will be out in your neck of the woods probably in the next year or so, hopefully, is our goal.
Wonderful.
So just want to put that out there to everybody as we're talking on this today regarding the 3M lawsuit, as well as the Camp Lejeune, and as well as the PACT Act and stuff like that. So we'll just touch up a little bit, you know, as we were speaking before, is, you know, we want to make sure that all the viewers understand is that, you know, your initial getting into the VA and stuff like that, make sure that we go to accredited VSOs and stuff like that, as you mentioned, and things. So going back on that, when we refer back to accredited VSOs, that's going to be like DAV individuals that are certified, that go to training. The state or these groups pay these employees to go to the training, which I think is 40 hours. It's a minimum of 40 hours a year.
Well, it's like 32 to 40 hours depending on the requirements for that year.
Yeah.
But remember, 32 states mandate that there be a veterans office in every county.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the states either have state or regional people. And generally speaking, you can find them and get to them easier, and they're paid by your tax dollars.
Yeah.
So, you know, as a county employee, my veterans are paying small pieces out of everybody's pocket
Yeah.
so that I can serve the greater good.
Yeah.
Oh, and please, like any other career field, there are really great bulldogs out there. And there are some that are kind of warming a chair waiting for retirement.
Yeah.
And if when it comes to a county person or a state person, or even the Veteran Service Organization down at the regional office, which may be 2 hours away, 3 hours, but each one of them has a boss. They have somebody that signs their check.
Yeah.
So if you're calling and leaving 14 voicemail messages and they're getting a call back,
Yeah.
or you get your denial and it says, well, we denied it because of these particular medical records were missing, and you gave them to your representative. You need to go to their boss and you need to tell them that.
Yeah, absolutely. Speak up. Don't sit back and not say anything. You want to make sure that you're able to tell this to the individual. You know, again, where I'm at, I'm about 35 minutes away from my VSO. I do have one that's in the town that is paid by the town, and they are accredited VSO. But I also go. There's also ones that are in the town of the city of Worcester, Mass, and they work with the vet center, which he goes through. He's accredited through the VFW and stuff like that. Which again, his office is in the on Park Ave in Worcester. So again, you know, if you guys out there, if you don't find, you know, the VSO that you are really liking and say they're not getting back to you, say their boss is not even getting back to you, you don't have to go to just that VSO. You can go to other VSOs in the state as well as even outside the state to talk to a VSO. So again, your pick is open to who you want and who's going to do you. You know.
Yes. I had veterans that drove. I had a veteran that drove two counties over to come. He had some personal reasons why he didn't want to deal with the guy in town or in his county, and so he came to me. And then when he passed, his widow came to me because she and I already had that relationship. She knew I had all the evidence and material. And really nowadays, for a VSO, they should be able to put all your information into the computer system, have everything all ready. They've sent your intent in electronically because you've signed one of those little boxes like at the bank.
Yep.
And then be able to say, okay, here's a list of the few questions you couldn't answer, or you couldn't provide the documentation for the dependent form that we filled out.
Yeah.
They have everything in there, and once they gain that information from you, they're able to complete it and send it off. You may not even have to go back into their office.
Yeah, and I mean, I know once you sign that power of attorney with them, it's all set and done with them, and they will be able to take care of you.
I really wish the VA would use that terminology. That's a legal thing. But people hear, well, what do you mean you're going to be my power of attorney? No, I'm not going to be able to do all the stuff that a quote power of attorney does.
Yeah.
I can only claim manage you.
Correct. Which it's a little confusing, but I know again as when I did it, it was like, oh, so me personally, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's just like the power of attorney minus you're handling my claim. You can see everything in my file. You can have all my records and you can view all those notes. But yeah, it's just the claim as the claimant as they're able to see that information. Yes, it's not an actual power of attorney. Legal wise, like a lawyer is writing a power of attorney for, say, your spouse or whoever to handle your stuff. Yeah. You know.
But it also protects you.
Yeah.
Because as a power of attorney for your claim, that VSO is responsible not to reveal any of your personal or private information that they're going to see or learn about during the process.
Correct.
So that holds their feet to the fire, and if you find out that they're telling people about the stuff, well, you have a legal leg to stand on to go, no, right.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. Because again, that's that is breaking that trust, which they're signing in confidentiality to say yes, we're not gonna release your information to anybody other than myself. That is why they put it in with their name, and it's still tracked as when people opens up those documents, their information is being tracked. It's a cookie trail. But again, without that being said, I mean, people that I know, you can trust them, but again, there's people out there that do wrong, unfortunately.
There are so many services that a BSO can provide to you that the sharks and others can't, or maybe they don't realize they can. If a veteran came in my office and said, well, I'm home with record, I joined in Sacramento, California, and I went back there for a little while, and then I moved to Minnesota, and then I moved here to Wisconsin, and I'm trying to file their claim, and I need a copy of a custodial document of their DD-214. I need either the original page 4, or I need the custodial document. Well, if they registered it in California, or if when you get out of service, most of us don't remember this, but at some point when they were making your DD-214, somebody said, do you want a copy sent to your home of record?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm going to stay here at Fort Bragg, so I don't want to go back to Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay, then they sent it to the state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
So up here in Wisconsin, I could call them, verify, yes, you have a copy in your state records. Okay, I need a copy. They can send it electronically to a CVSO, who can then has a stamp that says it's a true copy of a custodial document, blah, 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 blah. And in accordance with whatever, but they can stamp it, and the VA will accept that printed copy of the document came electronically from one custodian to a CVSO.
Yep.
I didn't know that the first 2 years that I had did my job. I didn't really have someone that could train me well. The CVSO before me had been in a motorcycle accident and was out of the office for many months before I got hired.
Yeah.
So and you could do the same thing for National Archives.
Yeah.
Or like as a CVSO, Blue Water Navy is a great example. Before Blue Water got approved, you had to show that you were in certain harbors or within river certain rivers, things like this, up river, or you had been off your shift and on the dock, maybe to pick up mail.
Yeah.
And you don't get orders for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But your ship log usually lists who went and got the mail. Who went ashore. So you can look up these ship logs, and you can actually see the plots. They do at least 3 a day where they locate where they are, and you can say, oh, it says anchored or tied up in this harbor. There you go. There's your proof of being in blue water. So again, it's one of those little things that CVSOs learned many years ago that they go online and see these at the National Archives.
Yeah. Again, it's just they gotta do their due diligence on it, and again, as veterans, we need to also be able to be accountable for some things and trying to remember some things to be able to provide this. And again, it's just with anything else. It goes without saying. Make sure you have copies of a lot of all your records. I know you're not going to have copies of the logs of who went ashore and who didn't go ashore and whatnot. But again, it just keep records of everything you can, because more information is better than none.
Yep.
To be able
and
to
stay in
track
touch with each other.
Yep.
Stay in touch with those you serve. Emotionally, it'll help you later on in life. But in the meantime, if you or maybe they need you to write a buddy statement about the time that they twisted their ankle running through the rubble during a firefight.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So again, I really appreciate Jane coming on. I'm gonna get it wrong almost 1 out of 10. But we do appreciate you coming back on again and giving this information. Again, we want to wish you a happy birthday, belated birthday, and enjoy your trip. You deserve it. Well needed rest on this trip, and some sun.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully I won't get too sunburned.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It's okay if you do. So, but again, thank you again, and we will see you and talk to you soon.
Terrific. Take care, Don.
You too. Thank you so much.
For your service.
Thank you.
Shut up! Shut up!
Yeah. Shut up!
You suck!
Stop, in the name of all that which does not suck.
Thanks for watching Fubar Studios Veteran Reinforcement. Please make sure to check out the Fubar Studios on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and visit the website at fubarstudio.com. Fubar Studios is a Sinista1 Productions.